On the quiet farming moon called Redfield 7, the days were long and slow, and life moved like soft wind through dry wheat fields. Most people who lived there were simple farmers who only cared about soil, weather, and old machines. But one man, Evan Hawley, lived even more quietly than the rest. Evan was a human farmer with tired hands and calm brown eyes. He woke up early every day, fed his animals, fixed broken tools, and watched the empty sky. He had no big dreams, no adventures, and no desire to leave his farm. He only wished for piecework and a good night's rest after a long day. But fate had different plans for him. One night, everything changed when strange lights appeared above his barn. The lights were bright blue and silver, moving in sharp lines across the sky. These were not ships from the colony patrol, and not the transport freighters that sometimes visited the town. These lights were alien, powerful, and dangerous. They cut through the darkness like glowing knives, and the air shook with a heavy sound. Evan stepped outside his small house. Holding an old lantern, he stared at the sky with wide eyes, unsure if he should run or hide. Then he heard something even stranger: engines. Loud engines, roaring like giant beasts. They were coming toward the trade town nearby. Curiosity pulled him like a magnet, so Evan took his jacket, started his old farm truck, and drove toward the lights. When he reached the town center, he saw a huge crowd. Humans and small local aliens were standing together, staring at a massive ship that had landed in the square. The ship was tall like a building, shaped like a dark metal claw. It did not look friendly. It looked like trouble. Then Evan heard shouting. Someone was announcing something on a loudspeaker. He pushed through the crowd until he reached the front. What he saw made his heart jump. There was a big stage with bright lights. On the stage stood aliens of different species, shaken, frightened, or angry. Some had scales, some had metallic skin, and some looked like they were from royal families. A tall alien host shouted, "Welcome to the Zyron Bride auction." The crowd gasped. Evan had only heard about such auctions in old stories. He never believed they were real. He blinked, confused, wondering if he should turn around and leave. He had not come here to buy anything. He had only come to look, to understand what was happening. But then he saw her. A tall, silver-skinned alien woman stood on the stage. Her hands were chained, her eyes tired, but her posture still proud. Beside her was a small alien girl with pale blue skin, coughing weakly. The girl looked so sick that she could hardly stand. The woman held her close, fear in her eyes. Evan felt something inside him twist. Sympathy, maybe, or anger, he did not know. The auctioneer raised his hand. "Start the bid at 200 credits, he shouted. The crowd laughed. Two aliens whispered, "Too cheap. Not worth trouble." The woman on stage lowered her head. The little girl coughed again and fell to her knees. Evan stepped forward without thinking. His old cum device was in his hand, glitching like always. It sparkled, flickered, and suddenly made a loud beep. Everyone turned toward him. A red light flashed on his cum device. The auction system caught the signal and registered a bid. The auctioneer shouted, "Sold to the human farmer at the back." Evan froze in shock. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He never wanted to buy anyone. He never wanted to be part of this. The silver-skinned woman looked at him with wide eyes, surprise, fear, and a tiny spark of hope mixed in her expression. Then the little girl collapsed completely. Her small body fell forward, hitting the stage floor. The crowd gasped. The mother cried out, trying to reach her, but the chains stopped her. Without thinking, Evan ran toward the stage. The guards shouted and raised their weapons. Some aliens yelled, "Stop him! Human is stealing the merchandise." But Evan ignored them all. He reached the little girl, lifted her carefully, and checked her breathing. The mother looked at him with trembling eyes. "Please," she whispered, "save my daughter." And in that moment, Evan Hawley, a simple farmer who wanted nothing but a quiet life, found himself standing in the middle of a dangerous alien auction, holding a sick alien child, surrounded by armed guards, while hundreds of eyes watched him. waiting to see what he would do. Next, asterisk. The auction stage was in complete chaos. Guards rushed forward with weapons raised, shouting orders in a language Evan did not understand. The crowd pushed back, scared and excited at the same time. But Evan did not care about any of them. His full attention was on the small alien girl in his arms. Her skin was cold, her breath shallow, and her eyes half closed like she was fading away. The silver-skinned woman, Kayla, fell to her knees in front of him. Her chains rattled as she tried to reach her daughter. "Please," she whispered, voice trembling like thin glass. "Help her. She cannot breathe." Her words were desperate, filled with fear that only a mother could feel. Evan felt something heavy inside his chest. He was only a farmer, not a soldier, not a doctor, not a hero, but in that moment, none of that mattered. He gently laid the girl on the floor and opened his emergency farm medical kit. His hands shook, but he forced himself to focus. The guards stepped closer. One guard shouted, "Step away from the merchandise." Another growled, "Human has no right to touch her." But Kayla rose and stood between Evan and the guards. Her chains did not stop her from spreading her arms wide to protect both her daughter and the human stranger. "Let him help," she said firmly. "She will die." "If you stop him," the guards hesitated, unsure. The auctioneer shouted from the back, "Do not damage the product. Let the human treat the child if he wants." His words were cold and heartless, but they gave Evan enough space to work. Evan inspected the girl's veins, skin, and eyes. He recognized the signs instantly. This was no normal illness. It was thyroxine dust poison, a deadly toxin found on a mining moon he once worked on long ago. Most doctors did not know the cure, but Evan did. He remembered the symptoms, the smell, even the way the dust stuck to the lungs. He grabbed a vial of detox serum from his kit. It was old, dusty, but still useful. He injected it gently into her arm. The girl gasped, coughing hard. Her small body shook, but her breathing grew a little stronger. Kella's eyes filled with tears. Is she safe?" she asked, voice cracking with hope and fear. "Not safe yet," Evan said softly. "But she has a chance," the crowd whispered among themselves. Some aliens looked confused. Some looked impressed. A few were angry, but everyone watched Evan like he was doing something impossible. The guards lowered their weapons slowly, unsure what to do next. The auctioneer scratched his head. This was not how auctions usually went. He grabbed a datapad and checked the bidding logs. Then he announced, "Human farmer Evan Hawley is the legal owner of Kayla and her child." Evan almost dropped the girl. He stared at the auctioneer in shock. "What?" he asked. I didn't mean to buy them." His voice was confused and full of panic. Kayla bowed her head. "If you wish to release us, then please. Just let me take my daughter somewhere safe." Evan felt a strange guilt. He never wanted anyone to think he bought a living being, but he also knew the child would die if she did not receive more care. The detox serum was only the first step. She needed warmth, food, and more medicine. Redfield 7's doctor was far away and not trained for alien illnesses. Evan looked at Kayla, looked at her chains, and looked at the girl breathing weakly in his arms. A decision formed inside him like a rising flame. "I'll take you both to my farm," he said. "I can help her better there." Kella's eyes widened in shock. You would do that? For strangers?" Evan nodded slowly. "No one should suffer like this," he replied. "Especially a child." The guards stepped back, allowing them to leave. The crowd parted, watching silently as Evan carried the girl and Kayla walked beside him with her. Chains clinking softly, some whispered, "Why is a human helping them? He must be crazy." "No, he is kind. He is brave." When they reached Evan's old farm truck, Evan helped Kayla climb in. He placed the girl gently across Kayla's lap. Kayla held her tightly, whispering soft words in her alien language. Words filled with love and fear. As the truck moved away from the bright alien lights, the town faded into darkness behind them. Kayla looked at Evan, her voice soft and unsure. "You saved her once. But can you save her again? Evan stared at the road ahead, lit only by the faint glow of the twin moons. I'll try, he said. I won't let her die. And for the first time, Kayla believed him. The road to Evan's farm was long and quiet. Kayla held her daughter close. Feeling every small breath the child managed to take, Evan drove slowly, careful not to shake the truck too much. He kept glancing at the mirror, checking if the girl was still breathing. Her skin was still pale, but her chest moved a little stronger now. That gave him hope. The farm appeared on the horizon. A simple place with an old barn, a water tower, and a small wooden house. Most people would call it boring or empty, but tonight it felt like a safe world far away from the noise of the alien auction. When the truck stopped, Evan stepped out and hurried around to help Kayla. She tried to stand on her own, but her chains made it difficult. Evan hesitated, then gently held her arm to support her. Kayla looked surprised but did not pull away. She whispered, "Thank you," in a soft voice that seemed carried by the wind. Inside the house, everything was small, old and simple. There were wooden shelves, a tiny kitchen, and a warm stove in the corner. Kayla looked around, confused by human tools and human objects. Yet she felt something strange here, something she had not felt in months. Safety. Evan pointed to the small bed near the wall. "You can lay her here," he said gently. Kayla placed Lyra on the bed, brushing her fingers over her daughter's forehead. Lyra opened her eyes for a moment. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Mother." Kayla's eyes filled with tears. "I am here, my little star," she whispered back. Evan mixed herbs and warm water in a bowl. "I don't have alien medicine," he said, "but heat will help her breathing." Kayla watched him work with quiet surprise. "You know much for a farmer," she said. Evan shrugged. "I worked on a mining moon when I was younger." He dipped a cloth in the warm water and placed it gently on Lyra's chest. The girl sighed weakly. Her body relaxed a little. Hours passed. Kayla sat by the bed, holding her daughter's hand without moving. Evan stayed nearby, preparing more medicine, fixing the heater, cleaning the air filters, anything to help her breathe better. Neither of them spoke much, but silence between them did not feel uncomfortable. It felt like two people fighting the same battle. When night fully settled, Kayla looked at Evan. Her voice was tired but sincere. "You did not have to help us," she said. "Humans do not interfere with Zyran matters." Evan looked down at his rough hands. "I didn't think about rules," he said. "I only saw a child who needed help." Kayla stared at him for a long moment. Her silver eyes held something new. Respect, maybe even trust. "You are unlike the others at the auction," she whispered. Evan gave a small, nervous smile. "I hope so." Later, Kayla tried to stand, but the chains on her wrists pulled harshly. Evan frowned. He walked to his tools, picked up a cutter and returned. "May I?" he asked, pointing to the chains. Kayla hesitated. She had been chained for so long that freedom felt unreal, but she finally nodded. Evan worked carefully, cutting each metal lock with slow, steady hands. The chains fell to the floor with heavy clinks. Kayla stared at her wrists in disbelief. She rubbed them gently, feeling the skin that had been hurt for so long. "I had forgotten what freedom feels like," she whispered. Evan looked at her with calm eyes. "No one deserves to be chained," he said. Kayla breathed deeply, as if air tasted different now. She felt lighter, safer, even though danger still waited somewhere out in the stars. Outside the house, the night was silent, but Evan noticed something strange. A blinking light far above the farm. A drone? A star? He wasn't sure. He watched it for a moment, uneasy, but he decided not to worry Kayla yet inside. Kayla finally relaxed. She watched Lyra sleeping peacefully, the poison slowly fading from her small body. For the first time in months, she allowed herself to hope. Evan brought her a cup of warm tea. Kayla smelled it, confused by the human drink, but she took a small sip and nodded. "It is simple," she said, "but good." Evan smiled. Simple is all I can offer, he replied. Kayla looked at him, her eyes softening. Simple can be kind, she said. Simple can save lives. Evan looked away, embarrassed. He wasn't used to compliments, especially from a royal-looking alien woman. As the night grew deeper, both of them stayed close to Lyra, listening to her breathing grow stronger little by little. Neither spoke about the danger outside. Neither spoke about the Empire, the auction, or the future. At that moment, all that mattered was the small, fragile child sleeping between them. And in that quiet farmhouse, something gentle began to grow, not romance. Not yet, but a bond, a promise, and a strange new connection between a human farmer and a stolen alien mother. Asterisk. Next morning on Redfield 7 was calm. Soft sunlight touched the dry fields, and a cool wind moved through the barn doors. Evan stepped outside with a cup of warm coffee, hoping for a peaceful start to the day. But peace did not last. Far above the farm, silent and nearly invisible, a small metal drone hovered in the sky, its dark lens focused on Evan's house, recording every movement. It sent the footage across space to a massive Zeran warship waiting in the shadows of the asteroid belt. Inside that warship, Officer Vrak stood with a cold expression. He was tall, armored, and known for following orders without mercy. He stared at the screen showing Evan helping Kayla and Lyra inside the small wooden house. This is the human who purchased the princess, Vrak said in a low growl. His assistant nodded nervously. Yes, sir. His bid was counted by accident during the auction. Vrak slammed his fist against the console. An accident does not change ownership. The human has the princess and the child. This is unacceptable, another officer whispered carefully. But the auction was legal, sir. Vrax turned and glared. Legal or not, her bloodline belongs to the Empire. We cannot let her escape. He zoomed in on Lyra, lying on Evan's small bed. The child's faint glow under her skin caught his attention. Look, Vrax hissed. Her energy is awakening. The assistant swallowed hard. If the princess's daughter survives, she can cure the Zyran plague. And that, Vrax said slowly, is exactly why the Emperor wants her back. Far away, unaware of the danger closing in, Evan was preparing more medicine for Lyra. The detox serum had helped, but she still needed care. Kayla sat beside the sleeping girl, brushing her small blue hair gently. Every breath Lyra took felt like a miracle. You should rest, Evan said softly, placing a blanket around Kayla's shoulders. But Kayla shook her head. I will rest when she is safe. Her voice was calm but filled with heavy fear. The kind of fear she tried to hide from her child. Suddenly Lyra stirred. Her small hand glowed bright blue for a moment, lighting the room. Evan stepped back in shock. What was that? He asked. Kayla held Lyra close, her expression tight. She is special, Kayla said quietly. Her energy is rare and dangerous if others see. Evan looked confused. What does that mean? Kayla stared at the floor. The Empire wants her, she whispered. Not because she is a child, but because she can heal them. Before Evan could ask more, a soft humming sound reached them from outside. Kayla's head snapped up. She rushed to the window. Eyes wide, in the distance, she saw small metal dots flying through the sky. They were too large to be insects, too fast to be birds. Drones, Zyran drones. We have been found, Kayla whispered in fear. Evan's heart dropped. How? Kayla shook her head. They always find us. They never stop searching. Vivan didn't waste another second. He closed the curtains, locked the doors, and shut down the lights. He grabbed an old mining scanner he kept in a toolbox. The scanner beeped loudly as soon as he pointed it at the sky. Incoming tech, Evan muttered. Too advanced for this moon. Kayla held Lyra protectively. What will they do to us? She asked, her voice shaking. Evan looked at her, his jaw tight. They won't take you, he said. Not while I'm alive. Kayla stared at him in shock. No human should fight the Empire, she whispered. It is too powerful, Evan shrugged. I don't care about power. I care about you and the kid. For a moment, Kayla did not speak. Her eyes softened, filled with a feeling she almost forgot existed. "Trust. You are strange, human," she said gently. "No one has protected us like this." Outside, the drones circled the farm, searching for a weakness. Inside the Xeran warship, Vrax watched the feed with a cruel smile. "Prepare a squad," he ordered. "We take them alive. The human is not a threat." But he did not know Evan Hale. He did not know the mining tech Evan kept hidden. He did not know the traps buried beneath the fields, and he did not know the courage waking inside a simple farmer's heart. Evan moved quickly, switching on old defense panels and rusty machines he had repaired years ago. He turned to Kayla and said, "If they come, we fight." Kayla nodded slowly, lifting her chin. "If you stand with us, then I will stand with you." The glowing sky warned them of trouble. The drones grew closer, and the quiet farm on Redfield 7 prepared itself for a battle that would change everything. Night came quietly to Redfield 7, but the silence around Evan's farm felt heavy, like the air itself was waiting for something dark to begin. Kayla sat beside Lyra, holding her close while the child slept. Breathing softly but still weak, Evan moved through the house quickly, checking every window, every lock, every corner. He could feel danger pressing against the walls like a rising storm. Outside, the drones circled in slow patterns over the wheat fields. Their red lights blinked. Like watching eyes, Evan stepped onto the porch and stared at them. His jaw was tight, but his eyes were calm. Fear was there, yes, but something stronger was there too. Determination, he whispered to himself. "I won't let them take her." Inside, Kayla approached him quietly. She rested a hand on Lyra's sleeping form, then looked at Evan with serious eyes. "They will not stop," she said. "They will come with soldiers." Evan nodded. "I know," he replied. "That's why we need to be ready." He led her outside to the barn. The night wind brushed against their skin, carrying the smell of dry soil and danger. Inside the barn, Evan pulled a dusty cloth off an object hidden in the corner. Kayla stared in surprise. "What is that?" she asked. Under the cloth was a large machine with metal claws, thick wheels, and pipes running across its body. "It looks like a farming machine," Kayla whispered. Evan nodded. "It is," he said. "But I changed it for mining work years ago." He climbed into the cockpit and powered it on. The engine shook the entire barn, purring like a metal beast waking from sleep. "I used it to move rocks and clear tunnels," Evan explained. "Now, I can use it to push back soldiers." Kayla looked at him with new respect. "You are full of surprises, human," she said softly. While Evan prepared the machine, Kayla checked the area around the house. She noticed small laser trip mines buried along the fences. She also saw wires leading into the barn and a hidden panel under the porch. "You have traps everywhere," she whispered. Evan shrugged as he walked over. "Old mining habits," he said. "Danger teaches you to be careful." Then, suddenly, the ground vibrated. Dust rose from the fields as something massive approached. Kayla's eyes widened. "They are here," she whispered. A bright spotlight cut through the darkness, landing on the barn. A Xeran shuttle lowered itself into the field, its engines rumbling like thunder. The ramp opened, and armored soldiers stepped out, their weapons glowing with blue energy. Officer Vrax led them, tall and cruel. He spoke through a loud device that echoed through the fields. "Human Evan Hale," he called. "You hold property of the Xeran Empire. Surrender them now." Evan stepped forward, heart pounding but feet steady. "They are not property," he shouted back. "And I won't surrender them," Vrax laughed. A cold, sharp sound. "You are only a farmer," he said. "You cannot fight the Empire." Then climbed into his mining machine and powered the engines. The metal claws lifted, glowing under the spotlight. "I don't need to be a warrior," he said. "Just someone who refuses to give up." Kayla stood beside the machine, unarmed, but strong. Her silver skin reflected the shuttle lights, making her look like a warrior from another world. She shouted toward the soldiers, "If you want my daughter, you must go through me." Vrax raised his hand. "Fine," he said. "Take them." The soldiers charged, their boots shaking the ground. Lasers fired through the air, burning into the dirt and fences. Evan drove the machine forward, pushing through the field with heavy power. The metal claws swept across the soldiers, knocking them down like wheat in a storm. Kayla moved fast, grabbing weapons dropped by soldiers. She fought with fierce skill, striking with strength and speed that shocked even Evan. She was no ordinary prisoner. She was trained, deadly, and brave. A soldier aimed at Lyra's window. Kayla saw it and screamed, "No!" She sprinted toward him, but before she reached him, something incredible happened. Lyra woke inside the house, her eyes glowing bright blue. She raised her small hand, weak but filled with strange power. A shockwave burst from her palm, silent and soft but strong enough to knock the soldier backward across the yard. The energy swept across the field, sending soldiers crashing to the ground. Even Vrax stumbled back in shock. Evan stared in awe. Kayla stared with trembling hands, and Lyra collapsed again, exhausted. The battlefield fell quiet. Smoke drifted through the broken grass. Most soldiers were down, their weapons useless. Vrax screamed in anger. "This is not over." He retreated to the shuttle, shouting orders for reinforcements. The ship lifted into the sky, leaving behind wounded soldiers and burning fields. Evan stepped toward Kayla. "Are you okay?" he asked, breathing hard. Kayla nodded weakly, but her eyes moved to Lyra's window with fear. "They saw her power," she whispered, shaking. "Now they will come with everything." Evan looked at the sky, his voice firm. "Then we fight again." The battle was won, but the war was only beginning. Asterisk smoke still floated above the fields of Redfield 7. The broken fences, burned grass, and fallen metal pieces showed the price of the battle. Evan stood in the middle of the damage, breathing slowly, feeling the weight of what had happened. Kayla walked beside him, holding Lyra tightly in her arms. The child's energy shockwave had saved them, but it had also changed everything. Inside the small farmhouse, the air was tense. Evan shut the windows, locked the doors, and pushed heavy crates against them. Kayla sat near the stove, wrapping Lyra in a warm blanket. The girl was pale again, exhausted after using her strange power. Kayla stroked the child's hair gently, whispering soft words in her alien language. Evan watched them silently, thinking hard. Finally, Kayla lifted her eyes and said, "They know where we are now. The Empire will return stronger." Her voice trembled, not from fear for herself, but for her daughter. Evan took a deep breath and nodded. "I know, they won't stop now." Kayla looked out the window, her hands shaking. "I ran for so long, from planet to planet, hiding from shadows, hiding from soldiers." Her voice cracked. "But I cannot run anymore, not with her in this condition." Evan sat across from her, leaning forward. "Then we decide," he said. "Run or fight." The word fight hung in the air like thick smoke. Kayla stared at him in disbelief. "Fight the Empire?" she whispered. "You are only one human farmer." Evan looked around at his simple tools, his old machines, his scratched hands. "Maybe," he said softly, "but I won't let them take you." Kayla lowered her eyes, her expression softening. In all her travels and all her pain, no one had ever said those words to her, not even her own people. For a moment, she felt something warm inside her chest, hope. But she shook her head. "You do not understand who I am," she said, "or why they want us so much." Evan waited quietly, letting her speak. Kayla took a deep breath. "I am Kayla Jiren," she whispered, "daughter of the last free ruler of the Zyran Empire." Evan blinked, stunned. Your royalty?" Kayla nodded slowly. "My family tried to stop the plague destroying our people, but the Emperor wanted full control. He wanted to control the cure." She looked at Lyra with trembling hands. "And my daughter?" "She is the key." Evan leaned closer. The cure, you mean her power? Kayla nodded. Lyra's energy can heal the plague. Her blood is unique. The Emperor wants her to build an army of controlled, loyal healers. Her voice grew colder. He does not want a child. He wants a tool. Evan felt anger build in his chest. No child should be treated like that, he said firmly. Kayla looked at him, her eyes soft and grateful. You speak like someone with a pure heart, she whispered. But purity will not stop soldiers. Evan stood and walked to the window, watching the sky. Clouds moved slowly. But he knew danger moved faster. Running won't work, he said. Not anymore, not after what Lyra did. Kayla wrapped her arms around her daughter protectively. I do not want her to use her power again. It hurts her body, Evan nodded. Then she won't have to, if we prepare. Kayla stood up. Prepare for what? Evan turned to her with steady eyes. For war, he said. Her breath caught in her throat. You would fight a whole empire? Evan shrugged. Humans are stubborn, he said. Especially farmers. Kayla stared at him, unsure whether to laugh or cry. You are impossible, she whispered, but deep inside, she felt something she hadn't felt since her home world, strength. They spent the next hours checking the farm. Evan repaired the damaged fences. Kayla cleaned fallen weapons from the soldiers. Together, they buried the drone scraps far from sight. While they worked, Lyra woke slowly, her eyes soft and tired. Mother, where are we? She whispered. Kayla kissed her forehead. We are safe for now, she said gently. Because someone helped us. Lyra turned her head weakly toward Evan, her small voice barely carried. Thank you. Human, Evan smiled softly. Rest. Kid, he said. You're strong, but you need more time. Kayla watched the moment between them, her heart tightening. She had never expected a stranger, a human, to care for her child. But here he was, working harder than anyone she had known. As the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and gold, Evan returned to the porch and stared at the horizon. Kayla joined him quietly. They will come with a stronger force, she said. Evan nodded. I know, Kayla swallowed. If you stay with us. You put your life in danger. Evan looked at her, calm and steady. My life is mine to risk, he said, and I choose to protect you. Kayla felt her throat tighten with emotion. You are not afraid? She whispered. Evan looked at the sky, where the first stars were appearing. I am afraid, he admitted, but I won't run. Behind them, Lyra slept peacefully, unaware that the coming days would decide the fate of more than just one family. They all knew the Empire would return. They all knew the battle ahead would be bigger than anything they had faced so far. But for the first time, Evan, Kayla, and Lyra would not be facing it alone. Asterisk dawn rose slowly over Redfield 7. The sky glowed soft orange, but the warmth did nothing to ease the fear growing inside Evan's farm. Kayla stood near the window, holding Lyra close as the child slept quietly. Evan stepped outside, boots sinking into the damp morning soil. He looked at the horizon and saw dust rising in the distance. Not from wind, not from animals, but from engines, many engines. They are coming, Evan whispered. His heart beat fast, but his hand stayed steady as he tightened his gloves. Inside the house, Kayla sensed the tension. She gently placed Lyra on the bed and walked outside. Her silver skin reflected the sunlight, making her look like a warrior princess standing in the middle of a humble farm. Is it the Empire? She asked quietly. Evan nodded. A large force, he said. More than before. Kayla's face tightened with fear. We cannot face an army alone, she whispered. Evan shook his head. We aren't alone, he said, as if on cue. Old trucks and hover wagons appeared from the dirt road. Human farmers from nearby colonies arrived, carrying tools, shields, and old mining weapons. The people Evan once helped with crops, repairs, and broken machines now stood beside him. The leader of the group, a tall woman named Mara, stepped forward. You helped us for years, Evan, she said. Now we help you. Kyla stared at the humans in disbelief. You would fight for us? She asked softly. Mara nodded with a warm smile. Anyone who threatens a child threatens all of us, she said. Kayla felt her throat tighten with emotion. For the first time in a long time, she felt supported, not hunted. The ground shook again as the Zyran warships approached. Shadows grew across the fields as giant metal vessels lowered themselves above the farm. Drones spread across the sky like black birds. And at the front of the enemy line stood Officer Vrax, cold, proud, and ready to crush everything in front. Of him, he raised his hand and shouted, "Human colony, surrender the princess and the child." Mara walked forward, unafraid. "We surrender nothing," she said. The human farmers cheered loudly, standing shoulder to shoulder with Evan and Kayla. Vrax smirked cruelly. "Foolish creatures," he said. "You think you can stop the Empire?" Evan stepped next to Mara and replied, "We don't need to stop an empire. We only need to stop you." The battle exploded in an instant. Zyran soldiers charged forward, firing glowing blue blasts into the soil. Human farmers spread out across the fields, using dug trenches, metal shields, and modified farm equipment as weapons. Evan drove his mining machine into the battlefield, its metal claws tearing through enemy lines. Sparks flew, dirt exploded, and the sky filled with smoke. Kayla fought beside the humans with fierce power. She moved with speed and precision, disarming soldiers and knocking them down with strength they did not expect. Every time she looked toward the house, she whispered to herself, "For Lyra. For my daughter." Vrax stepped through the chaos like a beast. He raised a heavy weapon that hummed with deadly energy. His eyes searched for Kayla and the child. "This ends now," he growled. Evan saw him and jumped out of the mining machine. He faced Vrax directly, breathing hard, fists clenched. Vrax laughed. "You are only a farmer," he said. "Stand aside." Evan shook his head. "No," he said. "I protect my family." The words stunned Kayla. Family. He saw them as family. Vrax roared and fired his weapon. Evan rolled aside as the blast hit the ground, spraying dirt everywhere. He grabbed an old mining drill and charged forward. Their weapons clashed, sparks lighting the air. Vrax pushed him back easily with his strength, but Evan refused to fall. He refused to let fear win. Suddenly, a small blue glow lit the farmhouse window. Kayla gasped. "Lyra!" The child stood weakly at the window, her small hands glowing bright. She lifted her arm and released a soft, shimmering wave of energy. It spread across the battlefield, gentle yet powerful. Zyran weapons shut down instantly, falling silent. Soldiers collapsed to their knees, unable to move. Even Vrax staggered, dropping his weapon as the shock ran through his body. Evan caught his breath and stepped forward. "This is over," he said. Vrax tried to stand, but Kayla approached with calm fire in her eyes. "You hunted us for too long," she said. "But no more." Vrax's strength faded, the energy wave draining his power. He fell into the dirt, defeated by a child he underestimated. The battlefield went silent. Humans cheered, hugging each other. The warships retreated, leaderless and afraid of the energy they had witnessed. Evan rushed to Lyra and caught her before she fell. The child smiled weakly. "Did we win?" she whispered. Evan nodded. "We won, little star." Kayla wrapped her arms around both of them, tears shining in her eyes. "You protected us," she whispered to Evan. "And now I choose to stay." Evan smiled. "You're safe here," he said softly. "Both of you." The war was over. The Empire had failed, and on a quiet human farm under the twin moons of Redfield 7, a new family began, built from courage, kindness, and a love that crossed worlds.